Erica, welcome to the All Pro Team podcast. Here, I'm at Metro West Realty. My name is Dwayne Hicks, and I'm here today interviewing the one and only Erica Studdard. I'm pretty excited about this, Erica. One of the things that one of my first recollections of meeting you, you were pitching the green belt, and we were over at this old place off the bypass, and the realtor luncheon was going on, and you were there with you had not slides, but you had a easel and all this stuff, and you were showing this green belt, and I was like going, holy cow, that is a big old project. And here we are years later, and not only did you pull it off, then you landed a position there at the city of Carrollton as community development director. So you've had a ton of input for a long time in the city of Carrollton. Tell me a little bit about your backstory and how you ended up in Carrollton.
Sure. When I got out of college, I worked in Athens, Clarke County as a long-range planner, and I worked there for about 3 years. And then ultimately, my family relocated to Carrollton. Worked as the planning and zoning administrator for the local government there. Here up until the end of 2007, and then I left. And I did a little bit of contractual work for the city, but I was really, I was doing the mom thing. I had a couple of babies, and ultimately, when I came back as the project manager for the Carrollton Greenbelt project, and I actually worked as the executive director for the nonprofit that built the trail. And then after we finished the trail, came back here.
Okay.
So I've either worked for or on behalf of the city of Carrollton for 20 years, I guess.
Man, time flies when you're having fun. That's been a hot minute then.
I know. I just made myself feel really old.
When was the Carrollton Greenbelt finished? Do you remember the year and all that?
Our goal was to finish by the end of 2016, and we were almost finished by then. We had let all of our construction projects basically by summer of 2016, but just length of construction, it wound up being early 2017 when we poured that last run of concrete that made the loop connection. Now we've continued to work on it since it's been.
I was going to say you're still doing some extensions, right?
Yeah. So what we like to say is that we built the wheel. In other words, we built the big loop, and so now we're kind of building the spokes of the wheel, and so we're doing spurs, and that's really been more on the public side. The initial wheel was really done. 95% of it was done on the private side through the nonprofit.
That's a cool story. I know that there's been a lot of other cities, come to town and talk to you guys about how in the world y'all pull that off. I remember being around the state with the Realtor Association, and people were pretty dang excited when you started talking about the trail, and they were trying to figure out how to get that going in their city, their area.
Yeah. I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of communities. I think trail systems are really game changers, especially for communities our size. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of communities have recognized that just in our region. Noonan and Peachtree City obviously have had trails for a while, but Noonan and LaGrange are two that come to mind that are very close, that are in the process of building out their trail system. One is the Link in Noonan, and then you've got the Thread in LaGrange that's doing the same thing. We are currently the largest paved loop in Georgia. Once the Beltline in Atlanta is complete, I think we'll lose that title, but until then we take it.
Absolutely. Well, I could talk a lot about that because I still love the green belt, and I think it's a game changer for our community for sure. But I kind of want to interview today talking about where we're at today and that kind of thing, and some of the comprehensive plan updates, just kind of a array of things that you do in your role as the community development director. Tell us a little bit about what that overall. Give us a flyover of what your role is, and then we'll get a little deeper into the details.
So you said it first. Our major role is basically developing, managing, and implementing the comprehensive plan. Now that's through a variety of things. Obviously, that's through development. That's through planning measures. That's through environmental stewardship. So it's through a lot of things. Our comprehensive plan, we just updated it in 2023, and that's a mandatory update that the state requires every 5 years. And I will say we probably got more public engagement with this comp plan update than we've had with the previous 5. And that's no joke when I say that. Wow. We had, obviously we did our town hall meetings, and we were able to get pretty good support at all of our town hall meetings. But we also put out a survey, and we had almost 4,000 survey responses. So I do feel like we've got a really active and engaged community. People care, and that's really, good to hear. And it's nice to, even if it's not something that you necessarily agree with, it's nice to hear people's opinions on how, first off, that they even have an opinion on how we might develop and grow sustainably. And it really helps us, the city, and then it helps obviously our leadership as they're making policy decisions, to make sure that we're all kind of working off the same sheet of music, essentially.
I've seen that comprehensive plan, and it's a bit of a beast sometimes when you think about the size and the weight of it, and then you feel like you need a few degrees after your name to be able to interpret all of that. But it really is down. It comes down to what we want our community to look like and feel like and function like. And I've always appreciated the opportunity like to sit in on some of those and just watch business owners or listen to business owners like myself give feedback and input. And I think it's really good that we have an overall plan. There's been some pretty big game changers over the years that came out of that made a huge difference. And then sometimes we have to slow down on some other things because the community is not quite ready to go that far that fast, I guess. But in terms of economic development in our city, what are some strategies that you guys use to attract new business? Like I know one of the things that you've been heavily involved in is the downtown, the square, the amp. I feel like we have a really cool downtown.
Well, I think that's probably the best way to attract new business is have those new business employers want to live here and locate their families here. We've got the great benefit of having an awesome school system. Obviously they're a separate entity from us, but I think piggyback on each other's success. And that's an attraction, and it's an attraction for businesses. We're also obviously the home to, a state university, the University of West Georgia. And I think that's also puts out good talent, and we want to keep the good talent here in Carrollton when they do graduate. From an economic development standpoint, it's interesting because when I started working in local government in 2001, we didn't really look to, sometimes government was almost at odds with it, like the Chamber of Commerce or the economic development organizations, because sometimes cities really didn't get, or local governments really, serve more as a regulatory agency. We're here to review and to tell you what you can and can't do, but we're not really here to give a handout to help or assist. And I think we've changed our kind of our perspective a little bit on that. We have a community that we're building, and we realize that it's going to take, I think, kind of all hands on deck to build the, especially from an economic development standpoint. A few things we've done, it was in the comp plan, but we're working on implementing. We actually just completed a downtown master plan, and the comp plan and the downtown master plan kind of work hand in hand. You kind of have to look at it as the comprehensive plan as the grandparent plan. It's kind of the umbrella of all of our planning measures in the city. And then we go out and we do kind of strategic plans for areas of the city or areas of, things that we manage that are a little bit more zeroed in on specific action items as to how to implement the larger measures and the larger policy measures that are mentioned in the comprehensive plan. But, the TAD is a good example. We adopted our first tax allocation district. That is basically a direct measure to positively affect and impact and assist with economic development. That's basically the creation of a funding mechanism to strategically, assist with infrastructure and, things financially assist with development. And, that's not something that cities did, historically, but we've moved to that. And the downtown is part of that TAD district. That's just, like I said, that's just one example. We're also working with the Carroll Tomorrow right now to put together kind of a retail toolkit. And we're becoming a little more proactive in what retail we want to see. In other words, it's not necessarily just what comes through the door with a permit. And we've started reaching out to some of these larger, kind of retailers to see if what we could do to attract them to Carrollton. At the end of the day, we've got a great healthcare system, and it's a huge employer for the city. It's our largest employer at this point. And we want to make sure that we're bringing families that are, involved with the healthcare system and coming to live and work and play here, that, they've got kind of the amenities that you might see in a larger area, but still have that kind of small town feel that I think Carrollton's, kind of known for.
Well, I love one of the things that you said that I love is having students come here as kids going to college, and they fall in love with our town. They get married and settle down, have children, and buy homes, and that, man, they just add such value to our community. And I think the university and the West Georgia Technical College has also been very helpful in sustainability of our community and at large. And I love that. I don't know, this is really your field, but it's one of the things on my list to ask you about is infrastructure improvements and stuff. I know that to develop the community, you have to have the infrastructure to support with the development and so forth. Does the city of Carrollton have some infrastructure improvement plans? And I know all of this part of it goes back to the comprehensive plan as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Actually, I saw that on your list of questions. So just, obviously, you really, your hands are tied if you don't have the infrastructure in place to basically support, the growth and the development that you want. And the nice thing about Carrollton is we've set the stage, both from a water and sewer capacity standpoint. We run about 50% capacity on both water and sewer. In other words, we've got plenty of room for growth. The growth that we want, let me back up. But we've got plenty of room to basically support the growth that we would want for, the next several decades as it relates to water and sewer infrastructure. We are constantly making improvements as it relates to stormwater. A lot of our stormwater kind of projects, I would say, the vast majority of them are really kind of close and near to downtown. We're actually in the process of applying for a grant for some stormwater improvement just off Rome Street on Johnson Avenue. It's due this month. But, we've got kind of a strategic plan to work on some of the stormwater issues that we've got in downtown right now. And we've done a couple of those projects. There was one over off of Noonan Street that we've already completed that was kind of near the Methodist Church, if you're familiar with that area. And then we've also done one a little bit further down Rome Street. And we're, like I said, our next project is going to be, quite frankly, it's going to be a massive pipe underneath Johnson Avenue. But we're going to take advantage of that. Hopefully, if we can get the funding to do the stormwater, we're going to go ahead and make the streetscape improvements that were recommended in the comprehensive plan so that it becomes more of a walkable street and a nicer environment for pedestrians and that sort of thing. So we're going to try to kill two birds with one stone.
Well, you are right. You seem to have your hand on the pulse of all this going on in Carrollton. And I know sometimes if I see something going on, I don't have a clue what it is. I know I can probably reach out to you, and you usually know what the world's going on with that and what else happening around our city from development standpoint. But you're very plugged in here. This interview, man, I'm going to have to speed up a little bit because I've told you 15 to 20 minutes. I talk
a lot.
Yeah, we both could talk about our city. We love where we live and that kind of thing. It's really a positive conversation for sure. What do you see probably as, I'm going to skip probably the last question just so that I can really let you talk a little bit about, you see the challenges and opportunities, because I know there's both here. And I know you mentioned that there's growth, and then there's the kind of growth that is healthy and well balanced. And so talk about the challenges and opportunities ahead that the city faces from a development standpoint.
Well, I think you mentioned, growth or unchecked growth. I think we've got an idea of where we want to see kind of residential density and where we want to see commercial growth. And just from a corridor redevelopment standpoint too, how we want to see kind of our commercial growth even occurring. And, just trying to stick to our plans. Sometimes it's hard when it's, you chip away at it, just that one little bit at a time, but always making sure that we reflect back to, okay, what was our plan? What did we initially want to, see with these particular areas? And our new comprehensive plan, we actually designated or kind of identified several what we call development priority areas. And then put some characteristics with them. These are the issues and opportunities with these development priority areas, and these are the ways that we might kind of address either these issues or these opportunities. And really kind of looking back to that whenever we're trying to make decisions from a policy standpoint, from a zoning standpoint. I think some of the larger challenges that we face today, I mean, some of it are just the rising construction costs. It's hard for first-time home buyers to enter the market. This this is your business, but trying to figure out, and we're not necessarily talking about affordable housing from a kind of a subsidy standpoint, but more so affordable housing for your teachers and your firemen and your police officers. And there's so much demand in Carrollton, which is great. Everybody wants to be here, and it's again, it's, I think, a place that folks want to live and they want to work here. But finding that housing for those folks is sometimes difficult, and we recognize that. We know we've got housing challenges, and we also know that construction costs have just gotten to the point, between that, land costs, development related costs. It's just really hard for our developers to put a product out for that first time home buyer.
And you and I sit here, we have zero control over it. I mean,
yeah.
Who saw inflation going in as high as it did last year, and then the year, a little bit the year before, and then the interest rates just kind of cranking up. I mean, I had a school teacher recently ask me that, where is this money coming from that people are actually buying houses with, and I don't know how to answer that, because with these interest rates being what they are, they're having to try to shuffle their priorities a lot. And I think they're having to figure that out. Well, I really appreciate you agreeing to jump online here, guys. This is Erica Studdard from the City of Carrollton, the Community Development Director, and I'm really glad that you were able to come and be on our little podcast today. Thank you so much, Erica.
Well, thanks for inviting me.